You're listening to the Home Staging Show podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Lin. This is a show where we talk about all things real estate, home staging to live and to sell. Welcome back to season 10. This is episode 5. This episode is brought to you by socialitevault.com. Are you overwhelmed with the marketing your home staging business? Stop wasting time worrying or wondering if you're doing the right things. From social media to email newsletter that get attention of listing agents, Social Light Vault makes marketing simple and effective. You don't need a huge marketing budget. You don't need a huge audience either. You just need real marketing tools that work and the right sales funnel to deliver new leads, even when you aren't working. The team at Social Light specializes in marketing for home stagers. Get started today by going to socialitevault.com. Hey guys, welcome back to our regular programming, the Home Staging Show, where we do full-hour interviews with our amazing guests. So I hope you liked my little experiment last week when we did these little live streams and just sharing really quick tips on different aspects of marketing for home stagers. And I know there's a lot of questions. A lot of people submit a lot of questions. I think there are about 40 questions in the queue. So if I didn't get to your questions during this week's live stream, you can come on the free training next Tuesday on October 15th and ask your questions live. I'm going to be doing a free training on how to market your home staging business by sharing 4 key strategies I think really will work. And then also, I'm going to do a live Q&A afterwards. So in the past, when I do free training, usually it runs about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So definitely don't be shy and come on and join us. If you haven't signed up yet, there is going to be a free replay, but only if you sign up. So I'm not going to send it out to our entire email list. So if you are interested, definitely sign up. And you can do that by going to stagemore.com/free training. And one of the little experiments I'm going to start doing is doing mini podcast episodes, because a lot of you did send in marketing questions and there was enough time to cover it this week or in the free training next week. So we're going to have mini episodes that are going to go live where I answer your questions basically one-on-one, because I want to make sure all your questions are getting answered and they're going to be answered in the order of when I receive them. So yeah, that's going to be, I think, a really nice bonus extra for our podcast listeners. I'm really excited about that. So today I have a very special guest. I really love her energy and she's so good at shopping and she's really great at pulling the interiors together around. And she just has such a lovely personality. I just love talking to her. But she does have a bit of a controversial company name. So if you have children around, especially if you're playing your podcast in the car, you have a bunch of children in the background, maybe skip the introduction section where I'm going to mention her company name. So on today's show, I have Kate Dawson, and she's an interior designer who specializes in making homes look like $1 million at a fraction of the price. Don't you just love that? Kate works with her clients to make sure their home brings them a sense of joy and excitement without breaking the bank. And she does this by working with items the clients already own and then curate great accent pieces from awesome stores like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, estate sales, and vintage shops. Kate strongly believes that our surroundings affect our well-being and has made it her mission in life to help families love their home. I just personally love that because I see that in stage homes as well, because it's all really about how we live in our home, and then it can impact us, affecting us, our emotional well-being, and also how productive we are, or physically how well we feel. So I think it's a very important strategy to make sure that you love your home and it's bringing you joy. And so she believes that changing your home can change your life. So you want to surround yourself with beauty, love, and laughter. So if you're not sure how to do that, call Kate at Decor Whore. All right, so without further ado, let's start the show. Hi, Kate. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what services your company provide?
Sure. And by the way, thank you for having me. So my background is actually as an actor and a singer. However, I have done interior design my entire life as just something that I've always been passionate about. My mom always was a decorator for friends, never professionally. But as a young kid, she always encouraged me to decorate also. And so as early as I can remember, I was always giving myself design challenges, like with my dollhouse or Barbies or things like that. So I am completely self-taught. After my son was born, he's actually 7, I was disenchanted with living the performer life, and I started to just get more and more into decor. And basically what happened was someone asked me if I would help them, and I said okay, and I'd never really helped anyone other than myself. I mean, they asked if I could help them and they would pay me. This was the first time someone paid me. I'd always helped friends along the way. But we did it, and she loved it. She was thrilled. I put up before and after pictures, and people loved it. And so that's really how it began. That's how my business began. And it's just spread from there, from people seeing pictures or referrals. But what I specialize in is taking what you already own, like working with what you have, coming in and seeing all of the options, and then recommending ways to arrange it, which pieces I think you should keep, which pieces I think you should replace. And then I'm all about bringing in awesome accessories that I find anywhere from TJ Maxx, Home Goods, HomeSense, Wayfair, eBay, Craigslist, estate sales. I found stuff on the street. I am a treasure hunter, so it's just like the thrill for me is finding cool stuff and making it into a room that's beautiful and unique and reflects the client.
That's amazing. I always love and admire people who have ability like that because I think treasure hunting sounds very exciting, but it's actually quite a bit of work. Like you have to do a lot of legwork to really know your market and where to buy what.
Yeah, and if you don't enjoy that, then you're going to hate the job. But for me, it's what I always did before I started doing this professionally. I mean, in some ways, I have these moments where I'm at Home Goods and I'm at TJ Maxx and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm getting paid to do this. And I think it's my favorite thing in the world to do because I love to find, some people say, oh, I can't go in there. It's too overwhelming. It's a mess and everything is out of place. And I'm like, that's what I love about it. I love the puzzle of it and the challenge of, oh my gosh, I moved these 3 vases and look what I found behind it. So if you don't have a passion for it, it's really not going to be fun. But for me, it never stops. I mean, every time I look through a catalog, every time I am online, and I go to a lot of online stores, so I get a lot of, notices where, oh, this website you follow just has this new chair or has this new artwork or whatever. It never stops. And I'm always working with, anywhere between 5 and 10 clients. So I look for all of them. It all overlaps.
That is amazing. And so what is your approach when you're working with clients on their projects?
So the first thing I do is I have a conversation with them on the phone just to get a sense of what it is they want. Like if they are saying, you know what, I just want to freshen up the room. I just want, new throw pillows and just something to liven it up. Then I do an hourly rate. I do want to come to the house and see it though and see what they have already to make sure that we are picking cohesive things. But I don't do that as much. Mostly I do full-on transformations where we have a conversation on the phone and then I book a 1-hour consultation where I come to their home. I do charge for that because right then and there, I'm going to start giving a million ideas. I'm already going to start saying, I would rearrange it like this. These are the things I would keep. These are the things we could replace. The other thing I do is I send them a questionnaire and it asks a bunch of questions just about their life. I want to know what they do. I want to know what movies they love because of in terms of what the look is that they love. I want to know who their style icon is. I really want to get in their head. I want to know their favorite quote. It's just a questionnaire for me to get into their head and to figure out what it is that thrills and excites them because I want their home to thrill and excite them. I believe our surroundings absolutely affect our well-being. So I'm very passionate about this. So it changes your life. So I want to transform people's homes into the home of their dreams so that they can live their best life. So after they fill out the questionnaire, I then go to their home and that's when the work really starts. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I should back up a second. So I do the consultation in home, take measurements, take before pictures, and that's how I then determine what my fee will be because I can't determine it without seeing the space. So then I'll send a proposal. And basically, if we go forward, then that'll be the deal. If they say, you know what, I feel like I can do it on my own after all the ideas you gave me, I'm like, awesome. We had that hour together, go for it. So I also ask them to put together Pinterest boards. I ask for at least 20 pictures, and some people are very reluctant to do that, which is interesting to me, but that cuts out so much guesswork for me. and also just make the process faster. And everyone wants to see results quickly. So I always say that's going to help me the most and get us going at the fastest pace.
That's amazing. So how do you go about sourcing for your client's project? Because they probably have different objectives and they already have stuff in their home. So how do you decide what to put into their home?
Well, once I have seen their Pinterest boards and actually been in their home and they've filled out the questionnaire, I have a sense of what it is that they want to be surrounded with. And then from there, it just all comes from me being out and about and what I see. I mean, I hit TJ Maxx and Home Goods and Home Sense 3 or 4 times a week. And I just find things here and there that I know are going to work for this client here or that client there. I know the color scheme. I know that they need artwork for over the console in their living room. The sourcing honestly never stops, including eBay or Craigslist, those are just things I look for. And if I see an antique shop, I go in there. Garage sales and estate sales, I'm sort of always sourcing. And sometimes I buy something that I don't know specifically what client it's going to be for, but I know it's an amazing piece and it will get used at some point.
You must be very good at tracking all the receipts. Oh my God.
I have a bookkeeper. Which changed my life because, I'm a creative type, so that is not my thing. So I've gotten very good at sending them to her.
That's great. And so how did you become so good at sourcing products for your clients?
I think it's from my own desire and passion for finding great deals and finding hidden treasures. Because it's something I've done my whole life. My parents were antique dealers when I was growing up as a hobby and antique collectors. So I started going to antique shows with them when I was 5. I started collecting things at 5. And I still collect vintage costume jewelry. I have a very extensive collection of that. But the thrill for my mom and I mean, we would take these weekend trips I grew up in Illinois, where we'd drive to Chicago and just hit antique shops. And it was just all about finding the hidden treasures. So it's just been what I've done, always something I've done. So I don't know how exactly. I think that it was sort of born into me. It's in my blood, but it's something I've done my whole life. And I am better at, I don't take as long now in a store as I used to. So I would say over the years, I've gotten even faster at spotting that hidden gem.
That is so cool. I had no idea your parents were antique collectors. That must be very thrilling.
And it's actually hilarious because my husband and I have a lot of stuff, as you might imagine, as an antique collector. So there's always a little bit of a joke in our house that I'm a hoarder with impeccable taste. My parents, when I was growing up, had 2 sheds full of extra things that they had found, treasures they had found along the way. And so when I told this to my husband when we were dating, he was like, sheds, like in the backyard, like a little 4x4x4, like one of those square sheds. And I'm like, oh no, I'll show you when you come visit me, when we go and visit my family. So when we came, I then took him to the sheds. The sheds are actually buildings, which was a big surprise to him because and it was not to me. I was like, doesn't everybody have buildings of stuff?
I love you call a building a shed.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was a shed. That's what our whole family called it. So apparently I then learned that it was actually a building. And so it's become, it's basically what I'm saying is it's the way I grew up. It was just always the way my life has been. If you find something amazing and a great deal, you keep it, you take it, and you're going to find a place for it. That's basically what I've done.
That is amazing. Oh my God. I have really good, I feel like I have so much respect for antique dealers because I feel like not only you have to be really good, you also have to be really educated in terms of what stuff you're hunting. And you also need to know how to negotiate because I feel like most things at antique stores are a bit more pricey because naturally, the stores have to make money, so they will mark the stuff up. So what is the secret when you are hunting for bargains and antiques?
I think one thing for me is I don't mind if something has a tiny little nick. I think, if I find a stunning Art Deco vase and there might be a little nick on the back, and a perfect vase like that might be $800, but because there's that little nick, it might be $120, let's say. That doesn't bother me. I find the beauty is just as exquisite to me. And also, I love that there is history to it. I love the idea, and maybe this is the storyteller in me since I'm a performer also, but I love the idea that this was loved by someone else and that it's being repurposed and loved in another home. So I think that's one of the things. I don't think it has to be absolutely perfect. But that also comes down to the client. I do know which client. I definitely have clients that are like, if there's a nick, they're not going to want it, and that's okay. Like, everyone has their own thing in that way. Like, some people don't want anything that has any damage at all. But for me, I don't mind a little bit, and I always tell the client if I find it, I might say this. So, for example, I found this amazing decanter set on eBay that's going to be going into a dining room for a client. And in the description, it says underneath the handle, there's a tiny little nick. And the decanter set was like $40. And it's gorgeous. It's this incredible teal color. And so I said to the client, it says there's a little nick. Here's the picture. It doesn't look like it's much to me. If it were me, I would buy it, but it's up to you. And she looked at it, she looked at the picture, and she said, no, I'll buy it. I don't think anyone will notice. And I said, neither do I. So I think it's that too, just like being able to overlook little things like that. Also, you find out after you've been searching for things on eBay for a long time what the right words to use are. For example, I love Dorothy Draper. She was a very famous interior designer. She designed the Greenbrier in North Carolina and just a ton of other amazing homes and rooms. So she was part of an era called Hollywood Regency. So I noticed when I started searching for Hollywood Regency as opposed to Dorothy Draper, I started finding things at a better price. Because if you have her name on it, it's going to be some things that are specifically her design. But you just start to learn little tricks like that so that you can find the items that are inspired by whatever the era is or the person is, but don't have that name brand. And I'm all about like the non-name brand that looks name brand.
That's awesome. I love that. That is a really good trick, actually. I think people do hang up on that name brand
Yeah.
thing. I'm actually in Stockholm right now, and I'm shadowing a friend of mine who's a photographer for interiors, but she also
Ooh.
shoots antique, like Scandinavian and Danish modern furniture
Oh
and
my gosh,
accessories. And
I love that era. I love Danish
yeah,
work and
and
antiques and
everything, right?
and the
Yeah.
mid-century.
But
Oh
we're
my God.
discussing, yeah, but we're talking about how a lot of Swedish people, when they have money, they buy the very recognizable brands because
Mhm.
in a way it's already everyone approved. That means that you have taste.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's kind of a boring way to decorate because you don't really necessarily understand the history behind it or the ideology behind those design. You're simply buying it because of the brand.
I agree. I think, I really try to encourage my clients to put together the Pinterest board because I really want the place to reflect them. And I don't want it to reflect their idea of what great design is or something like that. So I try to encourage people to not be hung up on a name brand. But I also, for what I will do if I know someone really likes a name brand, for example, I love vintage rattan furniture. Like, I'm obsessed with it. And it's become very popular in interior design in the last couple of years. But I like the vintage stuff, but it's very Anthropologie looking. So if I know a customer has a certain love for, let's say, Anthropologie, I will drop the name when I send them a picture of it. I'll say, check out this, I just found this little cool rattan table. So Anthropologie, what do you think? And then they have a frame of reference. And then it sort of clicks for them. And they're like, oh, yeah. And it's only $50 as opposed to 500 at Anthropologie. I do think it's very useful to have, to be able to refer to a brand. But then when you can find it at a lower price, then the client's thrilled.
Yeah, and the funny thing is a lot of stores like Anthropologie and Restoration Hardware, they're basically copying the designs off of vintage and
Yes,
antiques.
totally.
That's the thing.
I don't actually understand the Restoration Hardware thing at all. I don't understand it at all. I mean, look, any interior designer can take you there and show you a $12,000 couch, and I will if that's what you want. But there's so many awesome sofas at so many other places. I got my sofa on Wayfair. You can even get sofas at HomeSense, Home Goods. I actually think Raymore and Flanagan has some really great sofas too. There's so many options that are going to give you the same look, and you're not going to spend $12,000.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the thing with brands
Mm-hmm.
because in a way there's like a perceived value, even
Yeah.
though the actual value of it might not be as high as, other items were not the same brand. My mom loves jewelry, and then so she looks at a lot of catalogs, and not that we can afford a tons of them, but it was interesting because, you walk by store windows like Cartier, these like
Yeah.
very famous jewelers, but we're talking about the actual value of that watch, for example, or the diamond earring from
Yeah.
Cartier. You can probably find the same stone at a fraction of the price and
Yeah.
have a better setting. But because Cartier is going to sell more on an auction.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a huge markup for a brand. I mean, that's actually how vintage costume jewelry became so popular, was because, it really gained so much popularity during the war because people suddenly couldn't afford the high end jewelry. And so brands like Kemp's J. Lane and Trifari and Coro and all these other brands started making really good costume jewelry that looked real, wasn't really, but Trifari did a lot of Cartier knockoff styles. That was smart marketing back then. Yeah, it's so interesting to see the history of brands and how they get developed.
Yeah. So, in your experiences, you must go to a lot of clients' homes. So, what are some of the common mistakes that you see them make when it comes to shopping for their home?
I think that the biggest mistake, and this is a hard one because it's different for each person, but overall, I'd say the biggest mistake is furniture arrangement. They just don't have any idea how to arrange the furniture to really maximize the space of the room and also to give it the right energy flow.
So, what are some of the things that you think can help them to correct those mistakes?
I think it's really important to think about logic in a room. For example, if you have a fireplace, you want to be facing the fireplace, or you want something facing the fireplace. But, sometimes I've seen, and look, there are a lot of old houses in the area we live, and some of the floor plans are a little challenging depending on where the fireplace is. But you don't want to have something facing away from the fireplace, for example. You want to really figure out a way to keep that open to the room. I think the other big mistake is people will just hang one picture on a wall and nothing else. You can't just, like, for me, I mean, just a picture on a wall just looks so lonely. And it also is usually hung too high. Most people hang pictures way too high. Also, it's usually, as I think I just said this, in the middle of the wall, as opposed to a little off center, or somehow it's related to another little vignette in the room. Like, there has to be logic around it. Like, this is a little reading nook or something, so this has a little table and a little lamp and a little chair and some artwork above that. I would also say to make sure you have it as open as possible, so that there's not big pieces of furniture in the middle of the room that are hard to walk around. You need to make sure that there's a pathway to get through, to a doorway if you need to get through. So really, it's just some logical things like that. And for me, like, making sure that the energy flow makes sense so that you're not blocking it. Some of that has to do with feng shui, and I don't know if everyone's into feng shui, but I really will feel like energy blocked if I'm in a room and the couch is facing the wrong direction.
And what about colors? Do you find a lot of times people are maybe scared of using colors?
Yeah, what I find is either people are terrified or they are a little bonkers with the color.
Yeah, there's like no
uh,
new middle ground. It's either or,
yeah.
it feels like. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had a couple. I have actually had a number of clients who really were doing a pretty good job and just needed that extra encouragement, or just a little bit of extra. I promise you, this will look good, because some do have some color already. But generally, then I will say, this color will go with this too. You don't just have to only have one color in here. We can have multiple colors. Yeah. So, but then there's another house actually that I saw. We were shopping. We were looking for a house to buy, and the wall color in this house was crazy. And there was half of me that was like, I got to give them props for not being too scared. But wow, these are bright colors.
And what are some of the things that you see people doing wrong when they're budgeting for redecorating their homes?
I think probably buying a name brand just because they know that means it's good. Honestly, I would say that's the biggest thing, because I had a client call me and they said, I found this mirror at such and such store and I bought it. I want it for this room and I love it. And it was like $150. And I found virtually the exact same thing at Home Goods for $20. But yeah, I do think that it's the brand thing, exactly what you said earlier. Oh, it was at this store, so I know it's good.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of times I will buy things on sale, because Anthro has really good home sale. Same thing with
They do. I
Pottery
just bought two
Barn.
chairs.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
lucky. And I'll actually leave the label anthropology on it and I'll just tear off the sale part. Because I do think sometimes clients is like, are you gonna put all like IKEA stuff in here? But the thing is, sometimes IKEA has actually really nice, beautiful, very good design looking stuff that you can
Hmm.
totally use in the home that doesn't look like IKEA at all. And so I think a lot of it is perception. And we even have code words on job site in case clients are around. Like, I'm not gonna tell my sister to be like, hey, can you tell the guys to bring the IKEA table over? We're gonna have a code word for that brand, just so like clients don't know
Right.
it's from IKEA kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It depends on, some clients actually get really excited if they hear that you got it at Home Goods or Home Sense because they love the discount, but they're not going to go tell their friends that
Yeah.
necessarily. But I do like that. But there are the clients, you're right, who they don't want to know exactly where it was sourced. They just want it to look great.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there a right way for homeowners to figure out how much they should budget when it comes to their design project?
That is such a tough one too, because it is so subjective in the end what they do and don't decide to purchase. But I think it also depends on how much they want to do for the space. If they want a real overhaul and they want to do it in a budget friendly way, I think they still need to realize it's going to cost a couple $1,000s. If you just want, I just want some new throw pillows and new lamps just to freshen things up, you can do that for a couple $100. But it really depends on the scope of the job and how much change they want.
You're right. And I noticed that you use a lot of colors in your work. So, how do you use bright
Yeah.
colors without making the home feels very young or immature, like a teenager did the room?
I think that comes down to what the item is. So, for example, I did an office with this amazing turquoise chair. And the chair, though, is very sophisticated. It's the design of the chair does not feel juvenile at all. I think you can use bright colors and easily keep it elegant. You just have to be selective with what are the items that have that bright color.
I think that's a really great answer. And so, how long does it take you to shop for your clients? Like, what is that process like before you decide what you're going to buy?
Well, for the larger items, I always send them ideas. If we're getting new sofas and chairs and tables, I will find different options online and send them to them and say, these are the three sofas that I found that I think would look great. I mean, we usually always start with either deciding what the wall color is going to be or what the rug is going to be. Or I'll say, what is the main item you want to replace? Like I had a client who said, I hate my couch. I want a new couch. And we can decide from there what the rest of the design will be. And they said they wanted a bold colored couch, which I was like, awesome, because usually people are like, I want a beige couch. So we picked this stunning reddish green. I'm sorry, not reddish green. That would be really strange. Bluish green, like a teal, but more green than blue sofa. And we ordered that, and basically we were like, okay, so that's the inspiration. So once we went from there, we then went to the rug, and we found this amazing rug that had different colors, teal in that, but also had some pinks and blues. And then the rest started to come together. So I would say in the beginning, those selections take a little bit longer just because they're the bigger items. That usually can take a week or two, depending on how quickly they make a decision. This client actually made the decision within a week, so we got moving pretty quickly. But I just put the few options together, send them, and then they can pick from there.
That's great. And I was just curious, do you ever buy wholesale?
I have many wholesale markets, but so far, I'm sorry, accounts. But what I have experienced so far is the wholesale prices are usually more than they are on Wayfair or, if it's high end, obviously I could save money for the wholesale, but my clients tend to be regular people who want to have a beautiful home, but don't have $1 million. So I have bought a few things, pillows, things like that, but the furniture I haven't done much of because they usually also have an initial buy. You have to have a minimum like of an $8,000 order or something to get a bunch of their furniture. So
Right.
I haven't had a job big enough yet to need that.
And I know you source vintage and secondhand. So do you have any suggestion for newbies on that?
I think estate sales are a fantastic place to find things. I think that a lot of people think that estate sales and garage sales are the same, and they're really, estate sales are so much better than garage sales. I also think that people don't use enough books, like colorful bound books. Books are an amazing decorating tool. You can use them to have different levels in your bookcases, and that's just interesting. They're just interesting to look at. So I always get books at garage sales because they're usually cheap. And when I say book, I mean like a hardbound book or coffee table book. And let's see, I think also if there's something you're interested in and you know exactly what it is, I check Craigslist every couple of weeks for certain items that I always am on the lookout for, and just sort of patience and enjoying the hunt.
Yeah, and because you mentioned Craigslist and eBay, so is it the key of what keyword that you input to search for it?
Yes. So for example, I often will just search Hollywood Regency and it brings up all sorts of different things. It'll bring up furniture, it'll bring up decorative items, lamps, etc. Or I might look mid-century modern. Actually, I was just looking for candlesticks for someone, and I thought mid-century would go great with the aesthetic and the look that we're going for. So I just typed in mid-century candlesticks. And the more specific you can get, the easier it will be to find things. But, if there's also always a possibility that someone is selling something and they don't know what it is, so they don't have on their mid-century, they don't know. So, there's always a little bit of guesswork and just playing around. And then I'll read the descriptions to see if there's a keyword in there that might be useful in another search.
That's great. That's such a good idea. I love that. And what are some of the ways for people to create interior that looks high end but still budget friendly?
I think that's really easy to do if you just know what you're looking for. I think looking through decor magazines is really helpful to people if they don't know exactly what they want. Or even looking through Pinterest. I love decor magazines. I just like magazines. I'm old school, I guess. And I think if you start really looking at the elements of a room you like in these magazines, then you can start to look for them in places like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, online. I think that it's just a matter of really identifying what it is you love in that room. So let's say you see these pair of gourd lamps in this room. You're like, oh, I love those gourd lamps. They're Jonathan Adler. I don't want to spend $800. So I would then go to eBay, go to Craigslist or Wayfair, or I actually check tjmaxx.com every day, their home site, because they get great lamps. And I would put in gourd lamp and just see what comes up.
That's awesome. Like, I really love your suggestion about looking at design magazines. I also think a lot of it is composition, like how people put the room together as well.
Yeah, arranging furniture is extremely important.
If the home is outdated, what are some of the budget-friendly ways to refresh the interior?
The fastest way, I always say paint is decorator's miracle. Nothing can transform a space faster than paint. It is going to cost a little bit, but not as much as if you need a new carpet and a new couch and a new set of chairs, a new lamp. The difference in just a coat of paint is astonishing.
That's amazing.
And the other way to save on that, if you can save if you do the paint yourself too, which I'm too old to do that now, but I did that, I painted all the time when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, and I love spray paint. It makes a lot of things so much easier.
Yeah, I actually never spray painted that. I bet that does make things easier.
Yeah. And when you're looking at clients' homes, how do you decide what they need?
That is a really hard question. It's sort of intuitive. I just can tell. I just sort of walk into a room and I'm like, well, there needs to be a chair there because that's the perfect spot to just sit and read. And, this area needs a console table. It's just a big blank wall. Or, we need some height and you already have artwork, so we need a bookcase. For me, it's looking around and seeing where the holes in the room are, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, actually. I think we do have this intuitive sense when we're in the space to feel like, oh, maybe something is off and I need to add something here. And I think that's a lot of times, I think people like creative professionals, we kind of struggle in the sense, like, where do you find that balance? Like, how do you know when it's enough? Like, there's enough furniture in this room now. Like, how much artwork and accessories I need to add in? Do you have a guideline that you go by to determine when is enough?
I always check in with the client because some clients are more minimal than others. So after I've looked through all their Pinterest boards and spent time with them now that I'm decorating their home, that's basically how I can tell. I can look around and just say, their taste is more sparse. So we don't want too much here or too much there. With another client, you can just tell after you start working with them if they want a few more little items. But that's so subjective. It just really comes down to the person. I mean, my own personal aesthetic, I probably am a more is more person. I tend to have more accessories on a table than the average person. But I know that's my aesthetic. So I am very careful when I decorate someone else's home to tune into what it is that they like. But other than that, it really comes down to the client. If the client says, I feel like something needs to be there, I feel like there's not enough on this table or not on that table, then I just say, okay, no problem. I'll go source a few more items and we can see what we think.
Yeah. And so when you're putting all this plan together with your client, how do you make it feel and look cohesive?
So what I like to do is basically work together for however long the job takes. It depends on what we're ordering and how long it takes to get things shipped to their home. But then I like to do a reveal day, basically. So I just did a couple of these actually this week, and I have another one tomorrow. I call them the transformation days. And I go with my handyman, and everything, all the little items have been ordered. And these are just the little items, the zhuzhing items is sort of what I call them. So the paint's already been done. The wallpaper's already been put up. The furniture's there. But now it's these last elements that make all the difference. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hang all the artwork, and I'm going to position all of the lamps and the tables and picture frames and dress and style the bookcases. And I usually spend about 2 or 3 hours doing that. For example, on Tuesday, I had a client, she had a huge bookcase in her family room, and it just had no style really. And so I went in with all sorts of objects that I had curated from Home Goods, et cetera, all those places. And then I spent the day setting those up while my handyman also hung mirrors and artwork that we had ordered that hadn't been hung yet, and built a few tables that we needed to have built too that we got from Wayfair. But I really tried to do sort of a before and after, and I don't let them into the room for a couple hours. And then I let them come in after I've placed all the pillows and just done all the last minute, almost like the seasoning of the room, like the salt and pepper of the room, or, I've added the Parmesan cheese to the pasta. It's just that last element that suddenly brings in the warmth. And I really think a feeling of design and like, oh, someone lives here.
That's great. And do you come back to refresh, or you work with them? Maybe they're changing it up, or it's a different season, they want a different color palette. Do you do something like that with them as well?
I'm always, if anyone ever calls and wants help, I'm always available either to do a room or to do some sort of hourly arrangement. Absolutely. Sometimes, let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, well, I was speaking with a client the other day, and she was saying something about, she was thinking about having a dinner party, and she didn't know how to do the table at the night of the party, because you don't have your table set all the time. You do if you have a party. And I said, well, if you need help with that, you can hire me hourly, and I'll come in and I'll dress your table. So yeah, I mean, I am happy to do any sort of job like that.
That's great. I just love it. I think there's so much potential in this. There's so many different situations and ways to help clients to achieve their goal for their home.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, the thrill is just seeing the joy that they have when it's been, I mean, I said this earlier, and I don't mean to be repetitive, but it changes your life when you love your home. It just does. And I've done several offices over the last few months, and I will still get texts saying, I love to work now from home because I love my office. I'm inspired. I'm organized. I'm excited. And my mind feels clearer because everything in my space is clearer. So for me, there's just this huge thrill to know that I've brought beauty, love, and hopefully some laughter into their life, because I think we all need more laughter and we all need more fun.
That's great. And so what are some of the biggest design lessons you've learned in your career?
I would say, one of them is communication is always, I mean, that's the biggest lesson in life, period. But, early on, I remember I was working with a client and we ordered quite a bit of furniture from Wayfair. And, to save money on Wayfair, you can have it come and assemble it yourself. And for whatever reason, this client didn't understand that. They thought it was going to come assembled. And It's just little things like that I realized, okay, so that person didn't realize that Wayfair, that's why you're getting it for $300 as opposed to 1,200, because you're actually going to be doing that work. So getting really clear about, these are ways I like to save money. These are ways I can save you money. But if that's not something you want to do, I have a handyman who can build the furniture for you if you want, or you can pay Wayfair, because Wayfair actually has an option where you can ask for it to be completely assembled and you'll pay more for it. But just communicating things like that, like really understanding, okay, here's a way you can save money, but it does require then you have to do a little work. So things like that, just that type of really clear communication. Oh, I think the other big one also is just, I always say this to every client, we're ordering online. There's always an element of risk. Like, I think that blue looks perfect, but is it going to be a little different when it gets to your home? It's possible. Overwhelmingly, I've had great luck with ordering online, but I've also ordered, actually a client this week, we ordered a fireplace screen for their fireplace, and it didn't look like a bright gold in the picture. It looked like a subtle gold, but we got it and it was like, whoa, that is gold. So we have to send it back. But the thing about that, yeah, you're gonna have to spend a little money to send it back, but you're still saving in the long run because you're not buying, so you have to spend, let's say, $20 to send that back. Or even like when I bought my sofa had, if I didn't like it, I could return it for $75, but the sofa was like $650. And so I was like, well, it's worth the $75 risk. Turned out I loved it. But just being really clear that sometimes what we think is going to be one thing, we get it in the space and it isn't exactly what we thought it was going to be. And so there just needs to be an element of, there's some give and take and our minds might change. Just that nothing is set in stone, I think, is probably the best lesson. Is just like, oh, here's another example. I had ordered these lamps for a client for their buffet. And then I found another pair that I liked better. And I just said to her, I said, I know you've already bought these lamps and we ordered them online and it would cost something to ship them back, but I found this other pair that's actually a third of the cost and I think would work better. I said, I'm going to bring them by. Let's try them on the buffet. Let's see what you think. I put them up and we were both like, those are better. So that happens, you're going to find things at different times. So just to be open to going with the flow and knowing that there are other costs you might have to incur here and there, but it just depends on what you want for that room, like how you want it to look.
I think that's exactly right. And can I ask you for some resources when it comes to sourcing stuff?
Sure. I mean, I tell people this and I feel like I shouldn't because I'm going to start to not get such great stuff, but tjmax.com, their online home section, I get stuff all the time. Home Goods, HomeSense, World Market, Tuesday Morning, Pier 1 occasionally. Although I actually think Pier 1 is a little expensive in comparison with the others. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Any vintage store, but I would say the main ones I hit are HomeSense, Home Goods, and TJ Maxx. And World Market is a big one too.
World Market, yeah. That's a really good place. And where do you normally find artwork? I think that's one of the biggest pain point, I think.
I don't, every region is different. So I don't know what I live in New Jersey, which is very close to New York City. So I feel that we get a lot of really good contemporary stuff. I get a ton of artwork at HomeSense and Home Goods, a lot.
That's great. That's very cool.
And online at tjmax.com, I will order it from the website too.
Right. And then how about rugs?
Rugs, I usually get online at Wayfair. I've bought a few from esalerugs.com, but I've been happier with the Wayfair rugs. I don't think I've bought any really from anywhere else. I just think they have good prices and they have good return policy. And so I've say pretty much all have been from there. I mean, me personally, I also like older rugs. So I for myself have bought some older rugs at antique shops.
Right. And so do you usually just have the clients buy the stuff that you recommend and then you come in and put them together? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, it depends. So if it's like a big piece of furniture, if it's, a console for the TV or a sofa, I send them options. And then I say, this is my number one pick. This is the one I would recommend you purchase because I think it goes with X, Y, and Z. and then it'll get delivered. And then we wait for a bunch of things to be delivered. So for this client this week on Tuesday, we ordered 3 new chandeliers. We ordered a mantle to install on her fireplace and artwork to go over both mantles. She has a mantle in the dining room and the living room. And so all that stuff, had to just stay in boxes for a while, because then I came with my handyman, and then we knocked it out in 3 hours, just hanging everything, because otherwise you're going to have to pay my handyman more to come back over and over and over again.
Right.
But then like smaller items, like these lamps, that I saw that I thought would look better than the ones we'd already bought, they were at HomeSense. They were $60 each. And I was like, I'll just buy them and I can just return them if we decide that we don't like them. So things that are not tons and tons of money, I don't mind paying for first and getting reimbursed. That's okay with me. And anything I physically bring to a client's home, I also charge. I have a sourcing fee on those.
Right. That makes total sense. And do you ever recommend for them to repaint or get rid of certain things in their homes?
Yes, absolutely. A friend of mine, repainting is a big thing, especially for a lot of the old homes here that have a lot of wood paneling or wood molding. I'm working with a client right now who has a house probably built in the 1920s, and all the molding is the original wood. And it's beautiful, but it's not contemporary. It's not what we're seeing anymore. And so my first recommendation was I would paint all of the trim white. We're going to do that. We're going to start next week. And I think that that's just one of the best ways is just to paint. It just makes such a huge difference. Wait, did I answer your question?
No, I think that was perfect. But I was wondering, like, what if you come in and the client has, like, for example, if they have like a super strong accent wall, like a bright orange, is that something you will ask them to maybe tone it down? Like if you see it as a problem for the overall plan?
I ask them if they want that. Basically I say, what are the non-negotiables of this room? And I do that with every room and every client. For example, like I just bought this couch. This couch must be used no matter what. Or someone else, I have this bright orange wall. I will not paint over it. You've got to make it work. And I'll just say, okay, I understand. And I will. It won't necessarily be my taste, but that doesn't matter. I'm decorating for them.
That's true. And do you find certain colors harder to work with?
No, not really. I love color, as you said, and you noticed. I would say of all the colors I use not as often is probably like a bright, bold red, because to me it just is too holiday. It immediately I feel like it's holiday time if I see red. I don't mind burgundy or pink or a cranberry, but like fire engine red, now that I think about it, I very rarely use anything that's bright red.
Right. And so our interview is coming to an end. And what is the number one tip you're going to give the homeowner when it comes to sourcing and decorating their home?
My number one tip, I would say, is try it. You can return it. You can change it. Just try it. I think that that's the big thing is people will say, well, I didn't know. I thought, well, maybe I should go with this, but then I thought maybe I should go with that. And then I just got so overwhelmed and I didn't know what to go with. And I was like, well, just pick one. Like, I thought I should maybe get orange lamps. Well, go get orange lamps. Just try it and see how it makes you feel. It can be returned. Nothing is permanent in home decor anyway. Even wallpaper. I mean, people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And I say, I promise you it's going to be stunning. And the worst case scenario is you hate it and we take it down. Yes, that will cost a little bit of something. So you have to weigh that out for yourself, but you also have to really realize, like, this is home decor. This is supposed to be fun. Let's like really liven things up.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that you mentioned wallpaper because it's making a comeback. So is there any tricks to picking the right wallpaper for the room? Like, because it used to be everyone just do wall to wall to wall wallpaper, right? But that's not the case anymore.
Well, let me first say this. Wallpaper in my mind never went out. I have been obsessed with wallpaper always. But I will say that I totally agree. It's not the same type of thing. It's not like, oh, here's the dining room. Every wall will be wallpapered. So whenever I have used it, I use it sparingly usually. So it might be one wall, an accent wall, or it might be, for example, I'm working with another client right now and she has just this really cool little alcove window in her living room. And so we're going to wallpaper just the alcove. And then we're going to take the background color of that wallpaper and use it for the rest of the room so that it's cohesive, so it actually relates to each other. But I think that I actually noticed this in a magazine recently. I saw someone just wallpapered the area of their above the mantle, like just the mantle area. So instead of a huge piece of artwork, they just had cool wallpaper. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, I think that the wallpaper has so many possibilities. There's so many cool ways to have it really make a room more interesting and exciting. But you have to actually take the pattern into consideration. Like if you're dealing with something that has a really large scale, I think you can sometimes do more than one wall. But if you have something that's a very small scale and really busy, you're not going to want that on every wall, or you're going to like get a headache. So it's just a matter of really looking at the paper and the design and weighing out, how much can the eye take in.
And that's great. If people don't want to spend a lot of money, what can they do?
I think that if you just want like a quick refresh, I always recommend new throw pillows, plants. I think plants make a huge difference in a room. Paint, I said, but again, that can get expensive unless you're doing it on your own. But I would say those are my three main things, and pictures and how you're hanging your pictures on your wall. And you can get great pictures and artwork at TJ Maxx for, $40, $50. And just have a couple of those, put them together. Just don't hang one picture in the middle of the wall all alone.
That's great. So thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you have fun.
My pleasure. I did. I had a great time. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the invite. I hope I help and inspire some people out there.
This episode is brought to you by socialitevault.com. Are you overwhelmed with the marketing your home staging business? Stop wasting time worrying or wondering if you're doing the right things. From social media to email newsletter that get attention of listing agents, Social Light Vault makes marketing simple and effective. You don't need a huge marketing budget. You don't need a huge audience either. You just need real marketing tools that work and the right sales funnel to deliver new leads, even when you aren't working. The team at Social Light specializes in marketing for home stagers. Get started today by going to socialitevault.com. So that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help and support the show, there are 3 ways to do so. You can leave a review and rating on iTunes. You can share the show on social media, or you can donate to support the maintaining costs for the podcast. You can make a donation through the show notes or on the sidebar of our site. If you haven't left a review on iTunes, please do so. This will help us grow the show and book more guests. If you have any questions, feedback, and suggestions, you can comment on the show notes. You can also find the show notes by going to stagemore.com/podcast. That's it. Have a fantastic week and happy staging.